5, Lynn Longmire.
District 6, John Welch.
District 7, Ed Hart.
District 8, Niall Harding.
District 9, Gidget Oxner.
District 10, Brian Westconnell.
District 11, Diane Luna. Well, this morning we have a special presentation for extra people, so we'll get started with that. Okay. I need my glasses, so with that I can't see a thing. Here we go. We're going to start with Amy Brown. Amy has an award for recognition for 10 years of service. It is a significant achievement to provide high levels of service for 2 separate communities as you have over this time frame. You began your career working for the town of Bridgetown as a laborer and have worked to gain your water treatment and distribution certificates as well as your sewer collection. Your length of service speaks volumes of your loyalty to this organization. You are consistently providing great service to fellow co-workers and the public when needed. Miss Amy Brown, would you please come up?
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Second is Phyllis McLean for her 10 years of service. It is a significant achievement to provide high levels of service to 2 separate communities as you have over the time frame. You began your career working for the town of Bridgetown, then moving to the Annapolis office in 2015 after the dissolution. Your exceptional customer service when assisting the public has not gone unnoticed. Your social enthusiasm and professionalism are continued reminders of your commitment and devotion to providing the highest level of service to the county citizen. Ms. McLean is not here today. She's not here today, so here is a certificate for McLean. There it is. This is for you to pass on. Thank you very much. Okay, next is Mr. Crenton for 25 years of service as of December 2024. Your role with the County of Annapolis has changed over the past 25 years. You began your career as a laborer, worked your way up to maintenance technician for the county collection system, then transitioning to the Cornwallis wastewater treatment plant operator, and finally adding the responsibilities of your overall direct responsible change, responsible charge, or something like that, which makes you responsible for all the waste collection and treatment systems in the county. The thoroughness and precision you demonstrate in all tasks you perform is an invaluable contribution to this organization. Your length of service speaks volumes of your loyalty to the county. Andrew Cranton. Is he here today? No. Not here. Okay, we have 2. Our next award is for James Jenner for 25 years of service as of February 2024. Congratulations on reaching your 25th year anniversary. We are so fortunate you joined the municipal team. We have decided your career with the County of Annapolis operating our Cornwallis water treatment plant and later became the overall direct responsible charge, making you responsible for all the water systems in the county. Your in-depth knowledge of process you must follow to perform your job allows you to do so significantly and thoroughly. Your skill, awareness, and overall positive attitude are the true asset to the municipality and are appreciated. James Jenner. Next recipient is Eric Wiles. Is he here today? For 25 years of service. Your career began with as a seasonal laborer, and you have worked into a full-time position with the municipality of the County of Annapolis. Over the years, you have worn many hats, from water and wastewater repairs to ground maintenance. The thoroughness and precision you demonstrate in all the tasks you perform is an invaluable contribution to this organization. You are consistently providing great service to fellow co-workers and the public when needed. Eric is not here today. Okay, next. Our next recipient is Charles Grant. Is he the mayor? The mayor of Bridgetown? Okay, so Charles has 45 years of service as of August 2024. It is a significant achievement to provide high levels of service to two separate communities as you have over the time frame. Your career began as a laborer in Bridgetown, and you worked your way up to lead head. You are certainly a known name and face in the community of Bridgetown for both your personal and work commitments to the community. Your length of service speaks volumes of your loyalty to this organization. Your skills, knowledge, and overall positive attitude are a true asset to the municipality and truly appreciated and valued. Mayor of Bridgetown, would you please come up? She wants a picture of it.
Is it hurting?
Must have started when he was 6.
Our next recipient is Cheryl Mason. Cheryl, your 35-year career with the County of Annapolis had you serving in many different positions over the years. Thank you for your commitment to the county and its residents. We want you to know how grateful we are for your service. Your length of service contributed to your ability to be quick and thorough. It spoke volumes of your loyalty to the organization. Your sense of duty, professionalism, and dedication were a true asset to the municipality and much appreciated. Thank you, Ms. Mason. Come on. Kim Durley. You're here today?
No. Here you go.
What do you want me to do? Huh? I have two Cheryls. I have two Cheryls. Now, that's better. I have one Cheryl. Okay. Retirement for Tim Durling, June 2024. Congratulations on your retirement. You began your career 31 years ago with the County of Annapolis as a laborer and worked your way up to water and sewer operator. Thank you for your commitment to the county and its residents. We want you to know how grateful we are for your service. Your length of service contributed to your ability to be quick and thorough. It also spoke volumes of your loyalty to the county. thank you and congratulations, Mr. Durley. And he's not here, so this is his way. Last but not least, this is in recognition of years of service to be presented to Brian Bussey Connell. Come on up. In acknowledging your role in the municipal government, this is in honor of your 20 years of outstanding service to the municipality of the County of Annapolis and its citizens. In recognition of your unwavering commitment, dedication, and exceptional contributions over the years. Congratulations.
They're so busy, they couldn't.
Yeah, we know, but it's one.
I didn't see it on the appendix.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
I know.
We will continue with council meeting. First of all, I need disclosure of interest, if there's any, for today's meeting. Yes, Councilor? Deputy Warden Enslow.
I appreciate the confidence being called Councilor Connell, I guess. It means I get 20 plus years of service.
Yes, yes.
Under section 6.1,
6.1,
Joint Voice Advisory Board,
yes,
private conflict of interest as an employee of the RCMP.
okay. Also, in something...
Is there one under the, in camera?
10.4,
And 10.4.
okay, thank you. Anyone else?
So,
Okay, Councilor Carson Salzman,
7.3, the nominating committee report.
7.3, okay,
And
and 10.4.
Just glad I'm not the only one this time.
Okay. Now we need the approval of the order of the day, but before that, do we have anything to add to our order of the day? Oh, if you would.
Thank you. I'd like to add under 7.9 for
Yeah.
new business, BCRA capital funding request.
BCRA,
Churchtown Community Recreational Facility.
BCRA.
I'll second that. That's a motion.
You have that?
I believe everyone has the staff report.
All right. Any other additions to our agenda? Okay, none. Motion to accept the agenda as amended. Councilor Longmire, and seconded by Councilor Adler. Okay, let's move on. Oh, all in favor, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, no? Unanimous. Okay, we are on page 5. We have the minutes of our regular session of municipal council held on Tuesday, December 17, 2024. Are there any questions or omissions that we have in the minutes? Seeing none, we will accept the minutes as they are. Next, we will go to page 13, which is to approve terms of reference for the AC Police Advisory Board. Okay. All right. Councilors, I need volunteers to read the motions. Councillor Parsons Sosman.
I motion to approve the terms of reference for the Annapolis County Joint Police Advisory Board in accordance with the recommendation of the committee as a whole.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Councillor Hardy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Could somebody? Thank you. 6.2. I need a volunteer to read. Councilor Hagenbach.
Yes, I move to give reading to bylaw 3, repeal of Bridgetown skateboarding bylaw and Bridgetown's smoking control bylaw in accordance with the recommendation of the committee as a whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Deputy Warden. Any discussion? Yes, Deputy Warden?
Just nice to see after the repeal of the skateboarding bylaw that they can actually use a skateboard.
Right.
So, that's good.
Okay. Any other comments or? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Motion 6.3. Councillor Welch.
I move to approve policy 125, climate change action plan review committee as circulated, 7-day notice given on January 14th.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Cranton. Any discussions, comments? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? No. Motion passed. 6.4. Councillor Hare.
I move to approve policy 116, council procedures and committees with revisions as circulated, 7-day notice given on January 14th.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Hardy. Any discussions, questions? No? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? No? Motion carried. 6.5. Any volunteers? Councillor Carson Salzman.
I motion to appoint Jarek Hallett as Development Officer for the municipality of the County of Annapolis, excuse me, to administer the municipality's land use bylaws and subdivision bylaw in accordance with the recommendation of the committee of the whole.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Longmire. Any questions, discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 6.6. Councillor Welch.
I move to appoint Jeremy Banks as Development Officer for the municipality of the County of Annapolis to administer the municipality's land use bylaws and subdivision bylaw pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Seconder? Deputy Warden? Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. 6.7.
I move to approve policy 128, travel and expenses with revisions as circulated, 7-day notice given on January 14th.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Connell? Comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Motion 6.5. Councillor Longmire?
I move to approve the terms of reference for the glyphosate ad hoc committee in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconder. Councillor Welch. Any discussion, comments? Yes, Councillor
Thank
Longmire?
you. I'm wondering how to, I guess the word glyphosate is my concern, that if we are just isolating it to glyphosate, or should it as well entertain other harmful products, chemicals, byproduct, yeah. I'm just going to leave it there. I've been toying around with that in my head. As I see just the term glyphosate, it would mean we would only research glyphosate, and I don't think it's limited there.
Would you like to comment on it? Wasn't it the way it was presented?
That's the direction from
Yeah.
council to
Okay.
come up with a term of reference for glyphosate committee, not
Sure.
reference anything else. So that's why it's before you go to council, wishes to change it.
It's
That'd be
time.
amended.
It's time to check that out. Are you,
So should I,
I have,
yeah, go ahead,
do you
go
want
ahead.
to, and then come back to you?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, Councillor Hare.
I think we need to leave this at glyphosate. It's a glyphosate ad hoc committee, and if you look at the people we have for members, or we're gonna approach 4 members, it is regarding glyphosate. If we expand it, it doesn't really reflect the membership that we're looking for on the committee.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on this motion? Councillor Wells?
I like the idea of keeping it at glyphosate, because if we open up the can of worms, it could reach all different levels of hazardous materials that we encounter. That could be like just the use of diesel.
Oh, yes.
You know, it could open it up quite a bit. There might be some discovery through the process of the committee, where we do discover other things that could be brought to council, and maybe a change could be made then. But at this time, I feel sticking with glyphosate would be sufficient.
Okay, so leave it as is.
Yeah.
All right. Councillor Longmire, would you like to finish the discussion?
No, I am satisfied with what I've heard from other councillors. I often do think that sometimes our membership might not be as open to considering persons that might be affected by different chemicals and products. And so I'm going to expand on that just because I feel I need to. When you have forestry involved, of course, they would be more pro the use of a particular product over another group. So that was the reason for my desire to see perhaps it expanded on. But I like what I've heard, and perhaps we can see that in the future. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments on this for discussion? No? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? Okay. All right, so let's move on to page 15. Page 15. No.
Page 23.
Page 23, yeah. On page 23, bylaw 2, American levy. How come we didn't do these? Oh, they got stuff up there.
Expenses.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. I need somebody to give a motion, to read the motion. Councillor Longmire?
I move to give second reading to approve bylaw 2 marketing levy as circulated.
I need a seconder. Deputy Warden? Do we have any discussion, comments? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. So I just wanted to, I know there's been a lot of discussion and emails about from certain individuals, but I just want to bring us back on focus that this motion is just to add the addition of allowing third parties to collect money on behalf of the short-term rentals. It's not for the policy as a whole. I know that there's a lot of discussions about the policy as a whole, and, I don't disagree with some of the concerns they have. However, by not passing the motion or moving forward with this right now, we're putting more members of the public not members of the public, owners of small businesses that have Airbnbs or short-term rentals, the inability to allow Airbnb and these third parties to collect on their behalf, which I know from my district and from talking to other people in various other districts, that was their main concern, is the fact of, well, it's just another thing I gotta do, or is there a way that someone else can do it, or I only use Airbnb. This will allow them to take the burden and give it to the collecting agency that they already use, whether it's Airbnb or Expedia or whatever they use, to take that burden away. So we have to look at the issue at hand, which is just adding that addition to the bylaw and then having a discussion later on about the topic. That's fine, but what we're voting today is just clearly on that, which alleviates some of the problems that we're hearing, and we can actually have that change and impact now. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, Councillor Longmire.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear from the Deputy Warden. He's basically said exactly what I wanted to share. But I am in favor of this motion that sits before us today for that very reason, that it does make it easier for the collection and for the reporting. So good for that, but I would like to see at a future date an opportunity to revisit the M8 because of the principles around how this all did come about, and I feel that there should be further discussion on many different moving parts of that marketing levy. But for today, I'm pleased here.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Walsh?
Excuse me. I've talked with a few of the stakeholders in this, and they say that just because we passed this particular amendment, it doesn't fix their problem of doing the administration themselves because of the way Airbnb works. Their impression is that because Airbnb doesn't provide the receipts and stuff, they still have to do all the legwork on their end, so it doesn't save them any time. That's the feedback I've received so far on that.
Thank you for that information. Councillor Cranton?
Yeah, I kind of echo the sentiments of Councillor Longmire. I understand that the purpose of today's vote is to discuss the improvement made to the bylaw. I guess the question I would like to put out is then how do we go about raising the other concerns if we're not discussing them today?
Okay, well, we're not going to move on that yet. We need to stick to this motion, but it will probably come out. Continue.
So that would be it. I guess I did hear concerns as what he had, Councillor Walsh had indicated. And just kind of one of the suggestions I had moving forward on this amendment and other amendments is I did notice that the town of Digby appears to have had an ad hoc marketing levy committee with, they were looking for citizen engagement, so just like to put that comment out that maybe as we move forward, I will vote and choose my words wisely because I know we're being recorded, so I am prepared to vote in favor of this particular amendment, although declaring I would like to see further discussion on the whole topic as a whole.
Okay, Councillor Hare?
Who's before me?
Councillor Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, the question that Councillor Walsh had, would the CAO be able to answer, provide any information on that?
I don't speak to the bylaw in front of me, of course, or the detail section there. My understanding is if Airbnb or Verbo or one of those other agencies is collecting it, they would simply collect it, remit it with a report every month or however often they remit it, and that's the required paperwork. There's no other required paperwork or documentation that would be required from the property owner, is my interpretation of what would take place.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hare?
I too spoke to some of the short-term rental owners in my area, and about the change we're making today and the bylaw as a whole in general, but again, just echoing what other councillors have said, I support the amendment we're making today, but also upon talking to the short-term rental people in my area, I do think we need to look further into the marketing bylaw levy itself, how it's worded and its purpose and so on and so forth. So my support for the amendment today does not indicate my support for the bylaw marketing levy as a whole.
Thank you. Councillor Aguilar?
Yes, I'd like to reiterate as well, in that same topic, that I agree with my colleagues around the table, excuse me, that I think, whereas this issue was developed and sponsored and approved by the previous council, some of us on the new council here aren't privy to the information that led us to the actual agreement itself. So as much as I will be voting for the amendment as we spoke to here today, I also would urge us to have this on the agenda, to have a review for at least this council to be able to look at it. I have as well constituents in my district that are concerned about this, that some of them are even considering selling properties because they haven't been able, they don't see this as being productive for them going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Councillor Cranton, Councillor Welsh, and Councillor Hardy.
Just echoing what Councillor said, so just for the interest of public record, my support for the amendment today is not an indication of my support for the bylaw as a whole.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to echo Councillor Cranton's words. I feel the same way. And ultimately, this levy won't work unless we can get the stakeholders to buy in. So otherwise it becomes an enforceable issue, which is the worst case scenario, I think. So we need buy-in. We need them to see that it's an investment in the community, and we have to be able to work with them.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hardy?
Yeah, I would also like to echo what some of the other councillors have said, especially Councillor Welch and Councillor Cranton, that I believe that this amendment that we're making today to the marketing levy is a step in the right direction. It's making the burden hopefully less on short-term rental operators by putting some of that burden on the large platform operators. I have also talked to people in my district that have concerns about the levy as a whole. However, I just want to make it clear as well that even if we were to vote no and vote this motion down, it would simply revert back to the original M8 marketing levy bylaw, which I believe is actually not as good of a bylaw. So it wouldn't be a step in the right direction, in my opinion. It would simply put us back to the old version. So again, I think that it's important that we do continue to bring the community members into the discussion. I know that there has been some meetings already. I really like the idea of a committee possibility, and I would like to say, though, that I think that this is a step in the right direction, and more amendments can be made in the future to make this a better bylaw and encourage community buy-in as well.
Thank you. Okay. So, anything else? All in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, now we are on page 31.
Page 31.
Must be that far. Okay, so do I give this? They all. So this is page 101. There's more detailed information.
And I want to hand it for one.
The first page. Does everybody have that? Okay. Could I have someone read the motion? first motion of page 101. Councillor Longmire?
I move that municipal council give first reading of their intention to adopt the Cornwallis Park Secondary Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw, and to set a public hearing date of Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, at 11 a.m. at the Municipal Administration Building.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Deputy Warden? Okay, do you have any discussion on this motion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Second motion. Councillor Carson Dawson.
My motion to recommend that municipal council consider representative portion of the 8 Clementsport Road, Clementsport, PID 051-03155, being the area the main house is situated upon and also including the area of land that extends 10 feet outward surrounding the entire house, for registration as a municipal heritage property, and to set a public hearing date of Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, at 11 a.m. at the Municipal Administration Building.
Thank you. I need a seconder for this motion. Councillor Hardy. Are there any questions? Comments on this motion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Against, no. Motion passed. Okay, don't forget to put that in your agenda. The meeting of March 18, 2025, 11 a.m. That's council meeting. Okay, yeah. Okay, page 32. Nominating committee report. We have a recommendation. Do I have a volunteer for the Councillor Hardy?
I move that the Council of Municipality of the County of Annapolis approve the appointment of Craig Parsons to the East End Area Planning Advisory Committee, effective immediately for a 2-year term ending on October 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Ardenbar. Any comments or questions about this appointment? Okay. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
No. Motion passed. Okay, Ken. Okay, so we'll cancel that. Okay. We are on page 34. Low income tax exemption bailout. Deputy Warden.
Thank you. I move, oh, that's an information.
This is an information report. Do you have any questions on this? This was it was prepared.
So, no, I think it's great that we're continuing, actually, come back to me.
You'll come back.
Together.
Yeah, okay. Good enough. Good enough. Councillor Longmire, and then Councillor Connell.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine now.
You're fine now? Okay, Councillor Connell.
And I read the information, and my fear is that if we do take the leap and send it out on every tax bill, that staff will be swamped with applications that aren't acceptable. They're over by $300 or over by $1,000, but people will still try, and I think it'll just make work program. I think that we need to concentrate on many things in an educational program we need for our county. It's just not this, but this should be part of educating our public on what we have in our county and getting it out to them. That's the issue, is that we got to stop thinking that everyone's computerized. We have to think backwards a little bit and say, okay, how are we going to advertise and how are we going to commit to letting people know in our county what's going on and what we have for the citizens. And I think that's what we have to work on. So I was glad to see it. It's not a big cost. foresee is just to dump $4,000 into the mail out. It's the confusion that's going to create it. I think it's going to cost us a lot more, so, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire, Councillor, or Deputy Warden,
Thank you.
and Councillor Oxner. Oh, I see another councillor.
Thank you. Again, I think it will add more confusion and congestion in the office. Although I think it's a great idea, I would like to think that the education could come perhaps, we need to be a little more proactive, I guess. So I see like the grant info sessions that we have organized. Unfortunately, last night's was canceled, postponed due to weather until Thursday night, same place, same venue. This is another golden opportunity to as well use our halls, which I know is on the list. And we also have in the spring, and I can't remember what we call it, but it's like a blitz at the Bridgetown Community School, where again, a table could be set. And, you know, the more exposure that we get and the more traction we get from persons coming up to a table asking questions, I think that could be another way that we can as well get the message out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, I appreciate the time and effort that went into the report. I know it's not easy when we ask to do things, especially research things. I do agree with Councillor Connell that it isn't a lot of money. However, there might be some confusion. I know when I asked for the report, it was mostly just around what is the cost. It'd be nice to know what's the cost to do some of these things. But I do agree, and we keep talking about it, whether it's with planning advisory, whether it's with anything about the education piece. So I do think that we should move forward with different education pieces like we're doing for the grants. As well as when we do go to the volunteer expo, we do have a booth there, and I believe we do have information there about it, but we're not selling it enough.
Right.
But we could also add this in our quarterly newsletter, or whatever it is that goes, I don't know if it's quarterly or every 6 months or whatever, but we can put that information in as well. Basically, it'd be nice if it was highlighted to say, you know, update it to this new dollar value. But I appreciate the information, and hopefully we can look at some of the education pieces and get it out there. The only other thing that I have now with, it's kind of goes hand in hand with it, is we keep talking about education, and then we talk about how sometimes some of the residents or citizens don't know exactly where to turn. So what's provincial, what's federal, what's municipal? And I did want to bring up one thing that I saw interesting yesterday. There was an ad from HRM that they're hosting an event. It's called a Levels of Government event. So it's basically a Q&A that the local MP, the local MLA, and then one of the local councillors, but it was HRM, so they're huge, had a meet and greet session, and the public could come in and ask, you know, what is it that you do, or is this a municipal thing, is this a provincial thing, is this a federal thing? But it's just a glorified town hall. I thought it was a phenomenal idea. And we did briefly talk about it when we had a conversation with our MP. I just wanted to throw it out there, as I thought it was very interesting that they're doing that. So maybe it's something that we can look into as well. Thank you.
My turn?
Yes,
Thank
Councillor
you.
Oxner.
I think we should stay with mailing out to previous recipients of the tax exemption. And I think we need to, as others have said, we need to have some sessions in the community as far as grants that are available, municipal, provincial. And I think we need to narrow it down. Residents of Margarettsville are not going to drive to Middleton. They want to stay in their communities. And I think if 2 or 3 councillors attended each one with the appropriate government officials to provide information, it would certainly help educate the public. And again, people don't know where to turn. So I think it's our job to help them in that direction. And by staying community, it's smaller, they're more comfortable in coming out.
Thank you. Okay, so what we have here is information report. So we see the price. We acknowledge that we probably shouldn't be mailing it out to everyone, but instead go for grants. That basically our information. Do you have any information from there? Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to page 36. And this is the staff report for the request of deregistration for the property of William Litney House. We have a recommendation on the, that I need to have a Councillor Reid, Deputy Warden.
Thank you. I move that municipal council hold a public hearing at 11 a.m. on March 18th, 2025 to consider the deregistration of the William Litney House, a municipal registered heritage property located at 5365 Granville Road, Granville Ferry.
Thank you. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Walsh. We have the Madame standing over here. Would you wish to lend us a few words of your wisdom?
Sure, absolutely. The current property owners have made this request due to, similar to the last situation we had a few months ago, due to insurance costs. They currently have their house for sale. They've lost sales because potential purchasers have done the research on buying the house and inquiring about insurance, and they've discovered that because of the heritage registration, the insurance piece adds extra cost to gaining house insurance for the property. They've lost sales due to that, and they've made the request to deregister the property.
Questions?
Thank you.
Discussion? We have Deputy Warden and then Councillor Agenbar
Hare.
and Councillor Welsh and Councillor Hare.
I find it interesting. So when we done the first one, we said, I think we all said that it's going to open the floodgate. But I do find it interesting from talking to the planning department that in the future we're going to have a request for someone to register a property. So I find that part interesting. I would like to know what they're doing with their insurance. However, we sent a letter to one of the ministers and we got a response back, right? Or did I read something else?
I didn't receive a letter. Not yet.
Okay, so maybe I just, okay.
We sent a letter.
I see so many letters going back and forth. So that was my second question. Did we get a response back yet?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
But I can answer the first question.
Yeah.
So in the report that you had for the registration, the request to register, that property owner had done their research with their current insurance provider, and they were given the assurance, pardon the pun, that their homeowner's insurance would not be affected.
Thank you.
Okay, next was Councillor Agenbar.
Thank you. Well, the precedent has certainly been set by the last request with very similar circumstances, assuming that the information that we've received here regarding their difficulties in acquiring insurance is legitimate, which I'm sure it is. It's pretty hard to go against what precedent's already been set, so I don't see any impediment to moving forward with this myself.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Welsh.
I know with the first property, the owner wasn't looking to sell it at the time, and he says he's never going to sell it. It's going to stay in the family, his kids are going to inherit it. This property is currently listed for sale, and it's listed for sale for almost twice what it was purchased for in 2019. It had a pending offer on it. I think it expired just recently. I don't know whether or not that's due to insurance or not. My only thought about properties like this is if someone buys a piece of property and they get insurance on it, and they're carrying a mortgage, and then it's found out that it's deemed heritage property, and their insurance drops them, but they have a mortgage, they could foreclose on their mortgage and lose the property. So it's a complicated process. It's not just simple because we deregistered one, we can deregister the next one. I think there's a lot to look at. That's just my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Councillor Hare.
Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record because you pretty well got everything I was going to say, but I will say it anyway. First one was because they wanted to keep it. That's why I voted in favor of deregistering the first one, because it could have led to them not being able to keep the property and hand it down to the next generation. This is quite literally somebody, from my understanding, who's come from Ontario in the past few years, purchased what they knew was a heritage property. It's unfortunate the insurance rate's so high, but if we start letting all of our heritage properties be registered, it's what are we going to have left? And I mean, it was purchased for, and the information looked like we looked at this morning, it was purchased for a reduced price. And I mean, that's what you're going to find with these heritage properties, is they probably will be listed for a reduced price because of the restrictions they entail of owning a heritage property and the liabilities of having insurance. So if we just start letting them deregister, then people are just going to buy them for the cheap and deregister them and sell them for a 50% markup. I feel real bad for the situation he's in. I read the letter, but to me this would be a different situation if he had included his purchase price on his letter and said he cannot break even selling it. That would be a different situation, and maybe I would consider it then. But I didn't see the purchase price included on it. I didn't see him, trying to break even. So, other than that, just one thing I might have overseen. I'd like to ask: when we deregistered the other one, didn't we hold the public hearing the same day, or was that we brought it forth to council, or was there a public hearing, or was that public hearing scheduled long ago? Okay, that's all I wanted to know. But other than that, that's it.
Okay.
I think just to clarify, I think what happens is we have to schedule a public hearing and then we have the discussion after the public hearing.
Okay.
This one we haven't heard from the individual in person yet. Yeah. And that's what this would do, set a date and hear from the person in person.
Okay, we have a date there on this motion for the public hearing and the time. Oh, I see Councillor Meyer, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. I don't even know where to start, and I will apologize in advance if I say something that just doesn't sit well with some others. I don't think we should really discuss the price tag on someone's home and what they set it at for sale. The motion before us is to discuss, right, or to set the date. As it is well-spoken or well-written in the narrative, under the discussion portion, it is because of after investigating the cost of insurance that they've discovered that it's not appealing. And so I would recommend that we do stay on the topic as opposed to branch off and make suggestions, because it is harmful. There are always different circumstances that apply in every one of these cases, so we need to be really mindful and thoughtful about our discussions. Insurance is going up. It's going to go up for even the regular homeowner. Nothing's going to change there. And it's going to be whether people can afford it. And their affordability looks personal to me. And so I would just like us to stay on topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and that's why I was bringing it, and you brought it back. So, we have the motion on the floor for a public meeting at 11 o'clock, March 18, 2025. All in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? No, 1 no. Motion passed. Okay, then we are going to page 52. This is a staff report that is presented about the software initiative for the municipality. And we have a motion on the floor. Please press motion, Councilor Francis, sorry.
I'll read it as read.
Yes.
I move that committee of the whole recommend that council authorize the staff to proceed with the request for proposal for the procurement of municipal software services.
Thank you, and I need a seconder to that motion. Deputy Warden. And now, do we have any discussion? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. So recently, well, we're going to talk about it later on, we had an audit committee meeting. And at that audit meeting, it was brought up at the time that the current accounting software that we use, SAP, does not currently meet the full needs of what we need within the county. I know that personally it's hard for me to understand, only because I've had a lot of experience with SAP, but the federal SAP must be a lot different than municipal, where there's everything, full reports, do a whole bunch of stuff. But the big thing that that struck home to me when we were going to the audit about the SAP program, and that makes me more supportive of moving forward to an RFP, is the fact that we can't completely control who does what within the system. So right now, we don't have controls in place because of the system to control who has access to amend things, to update GLs, to vendor information. It's basically everyone has authority to do everything within our scope of SAP. So, you know, that puts us at a risk as a municipality. I'm not saying that we have that risk now, and I'm not saying that our staff would ever do anything, but it was brought up at the audit committee that it is a risk. So, you know, and we keep hearing this is my third year on council. So this is the third year that I've heard this issue, and I'm sure others that have been here longer than that have heard this longer than that. So there's nothing wrong in my mind with going for an RFP to see what is out there and what costs it's going to be and what we can do. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that we would waste at that point is the staff time to put this RFP out, but at least we'd have that information. With this, I can pretty much guarantee that whatever tender comes back is going to be more expensive than what we pay now. But we have to look at the pros and the cons of it. With these potential new systems, we're going to get more control and more options that we can do things, that maybe we can find efficiencies within the county, as well as it might alleviate some of the concerns the staff have around time management. And we might actually see quarterly reports. That would be nice. So I just want to say that I'm supportive of it, and I want to throw the information out there that I personally feel and the auditors felt that we are at risk with the current system the way it is. So I would be supportive of the RFP. It's not like it's really going to cost us anything per se, and at least we'll have the information even if we don't want to go with any of the ones that come forward and put a proposal forward. We at least have information for what we can do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor Agenbar, Councillor Connell, and Councillor Crampton. Councillor Agenbar.
Thank you. I have all kinds of cliches that I could speak to here. No pain, no gain, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to keep on getting what you're getting. But it seems to me that it's pretty clear that we need to, at the very least, look at what's out there, because currently this, from what we read in this report, is that it's almost like there's handcuffs on various parts of the operation in the accounting department, and it doesn't sound very efficient to me. So I don't know how much cost there is in putting an RFP together. It can't be very much, but we can certainly see where the road would be much straighter and much clearer going forward with a system that actually would alleviate the issues that we have now. So I would be in favor of this motion as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Aguilar. Councillor Connell.
Yes, and I agree that putting an RFP out is probably the way to go. My disappointment is that, again, I was very familiar with the process they use now with the provincial government, and when we talked about it several years ago, because it's been on the docket for a few years, it was sad to hear that our staff had very little training. They were self-taught, and that you could buy programs to upgrade SAP to what the county, what the county needed. But the upgrades are expensive too. So I'm not against the RFP. I'm not against even changing. I mean, we got to come up with the times, but I know I don't have to encourage to make sure staff's trained. I know they will be. So I'm looking forward to see what's coming forward. I know we have to do something because it's not working the way it is. Because I've asked several years on different programs, accountability for purchasing and stuff like that, and sometimes I feel like I might as well put the car in low and see how many burnouts I can do because I'm spinning wheels. So hopefully, if we get a new program, we can see a little more accountability and a little bit more info that we would like to see, and put our county in a better situation on the financial. So I'm all for it.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire added you to the list. Next is Councillor Crenton.
Thank you. Having the opportunity to speak with the Director of Finance and read the audit report and audit recommendations, and as somebody that has worked in municipal finance in the past, and at one point explored the option of SAP 20 years ago, I would agree with the recommendation to submit an RFP. I was actually somewhat surprised. 20 years ago, SAP was somewhat promoted as the Cadillac of municipal software. So I guess it didn't evolve to the extent that other ones have, but when I review what it has, it's definitely behind, appears to have been outdated. I would say that in discussion in the audit report, it does create some audit risk that could probably be tightened up by switching to a different accounting software. One of the other things, just for me, this is big, is the little chart on page 53, where the Director of Finance has indicated how the funds would operate, and then down below it shows basically how SAP forces the funds to go, and so it creates a lot of extra work for the Director of Finance and staff to get that bottom chart to flow into the top chart, which, although there would be time, the council's mentioned, invested in to create a RFP, it would be somewhat time consuming. And there would be time consuming to switch over to a new accounting software if we chose to do so. That recovery of time allocation would soon be recovered within the second year, because you would save all this extra time that's being used to alleviate the workarounds. And then just again on the costs, I do suspect that an RFP could result in some additional quotes at higher cost, but it may not. It may you may, depends on how aggressive a software provider wants to be in acquiring your business. I've gone through one years ago. There was one that came in significantly lower than a previous provider for better software. So, and you may have the opportunity to look at the whole package and incorporate some enterprise resource planning, which I think would be beneficial to other departments outside of the Department of Finance. So that's my Coles notes, and at very minimum, I do think an RFP is the way to go.
Okay, thank you. So, against the fact that we're just asking to proceed to an RFP. Councillor Longmire.
And so I will start by saying that although we're looking to proceed with a request for a proposal, I couldn't say that I agree with that motion without making this statement. So if we had perhaps had education back long ago when SAP came about, I suspect we might have been able to or could have grown with SAP more effectually. But as everything, things do change, and in light of that, I love the statement under features and benefits on page 4 of 5, features and benefits that can be purchased from new software, because software does improve on itself, increased efficiency and ability to meet reporting requirements, and if there's anything that matters to me, it is all of that, and every bullet thereafter, it speaks to the efficiency and ability to make reporting more reasonable. So I'm thrilled. Education is key. Again, I would not like us to enter into, and I don't think we will, where we'll adopt a new software and not provide adequate training so that we can see it used to its most effectual ability. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right. Having heard the discussion, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay. We are on page 57. This is staff report for to approve policy 114, council remuneration. Do we have to read on that? Or just the top part? No. The motion. Here we go. All right, I need we need to read this?
Yeah, it's a motion.
Yeah. We need to read
The motion.
the note?
No, not the note, just the
Okay, perfect. Councilperson Sullivan?
I motion that municipal council give 7-day notice to approve policy 114, council remuneration, as circulated.
Seconder? Deputy Warden? Comments? Discussion? Questions? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I don't want to talk so much today.
Okay, we'll put you off.
I'm just glad that we are moving to match the fiscal year. I know it's going to help with our staff and budgeting, so I'm glad that even though there's small efficiencies, we're starting to find some efficiencies. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. No other comments? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. We are on page 62. Audit committee recommendations. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I move that municipal council adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2024 in accordance with the recommendation of the audit committee.
Seconder? Councilor Cranston? We have, there we go, Madam Mann.
All right, I'm sorry, I don't have page numbers, but I will take you through the fund statements. Are you able to give me a fund statement page number on the agenda? I have all the financials, I just don't have a page number for this agenda. Oh, I guess we don't need one, do we? Okay. Page... They're not all numbered. So the last one I see numbered is page 20. So we'll go to the page after that, the statement of operations. The operating fund.
Oh, yeah, you're
So
right,
it should look like this.
yeah.
Page 20.
after, the page after page 20.
Or page 22.
Thank you, yeah. Yeah, they're not numbered though, yeah. It stops at 20.
21.
Perfect. So I'll just walk you through the changes over the year for the funds, but I'll kind of give you the Coles Notes version here. So our revenues are over what we budgeted and over what we got last year. The main one to note there is other own source revenues, 1.1 million. This is kind of a one-time item. So one question was asked about the consistency of this. A lot of this is due to 2 land sales and a lot higher interest this past year on our bank account. So there's about 290,000, and typically we'd see about 1 to 150. So substantial increase in those own source revenues, however, not sustainable increases in those. Going through the expenses, nothing out of the ordinary. 21-22 we had the sale of the internet, and 22-23 was another year cleaning up the sale of the internet and some other legal items. So this is the first kind of status quo operational year that we're seeing, which is kind of nice. Protective services is up higher due to increased fire capital rates, so that would show up as an expense in this fund and be transferred to the fire capital reserve. The other one is we increased the operating grants for fire to provide for the fire services review. And then the other item here would be RCMP was about a $260,000 increase in that year, so that's why you're seeing that large amount there. And then transportation and environmental health. This is sort of based on our GL. We don't exactly service cost, and we don't have it set up the way that we report. So there's a lot of overhead costs that are related to engineering services and public works administrative costs. So this was me sorting out what was roads related, so transportation, roads, sidewalks, traffic control, those types of items, transit, street lighting, versus what is actual sanitary waste and solid waste. So that looks a little bit different, but that is just an allocation change over the prior year to allocate overhead based on actual spending in those 2 service areas. Other than that, the transfer to and from reserves is higher. This is just relating to all of those land sales per the MGA have to go to the capital reserve. So those monies are sitting in there. So this amount went up because we had a lot more transfers out to reserve. All right. If we flip the page over, we've got the operating statement of financial position. This is probably the most important. Is when you're setting budget, it's the operating fund that you're setting the budget for. So this one, important to note here, our cash and cash equivalents have increased substantially. In 21-22, we were operating with bank indebtedness, so overdrawn operating fund account, and now we are operating in the surplus of about $6 million, which is fantastic. We do have $4 million still in investments, and our taxes receivable are increasing, but that is based solely on we're taking more prepaids. So when people get paid, they prepay their taxes, say when they get paid or something like that, or they've set up a pre-authorized payment arrangement with the front counter. So that's actually positive as well. Our inter-fund transactions here are quite high. This is a result of the previous year's operating surpluses. They are required to go to the operating reserve. The money from the operating fund bank hasn't happened to transfer yet to the reserve bank account at the bank, but in the GL, it has been allocated to the proper places. So those inter-fund ones are just clearing entries to transfer the actual physical money where it needs to be. That's about all there. Our prepaid expenses have doubled. That was because of timing of an invoice. So PVSC bills us quarterly for their services. We prepaid that, so we recognized it accordingly. Running through the other statements here. The capital fund. There's not a lot to report. The temporary borrowing, this is in our subsequent notes. Or subsequent events note as well. That temporary borrowing has been repaid from the operating reserve. Again, the interfund receivables, they've increased slightly. Just capital reconciliation happens at year end, so there's just a transfer between the 2 funds that needs to happen. Everything else is pretty standard. No long-term debt was issued, it was just repaid. And asset retirement obligations was a new standard the prior year, so this is any provision or liability that we might incur as a result of our sale or demolition of one of our facilities. Could be lead paint or asbestos. Those are our two liabilities. So it has decreased because of the demolition of the fire hall. We no longer have the liability of the asbestos in that building. So if we go to the next page, this is the general capital statement of operations. The expenses seen here, because you don't expense capital, the expenses here are just the depreciation for each of the service areas for capital. And then again, you'll see the interfund transfers, so that's just all how the capital budget was funded there. Nothing too major happened in this account. And if we flip it over to the next page, we've got the reserve funds. So these are all of our reserve funds. This is probably really good information right before we go into a budget cycle. So our capital reserve fund, about 2.8, our operating reserve fund is about 7.2 million. That has decreased. We used that money to pay off the line of credit, so that's decreased for 24-25, but we've built it up substantially from where it was. The other ones are special purpose, so county sewer, Bridgetown sewer, just the difference between what we collect and what we operationally spend goes into those reserves there. Gas tax is actually the Canada Community Building Fund, so CCBF money. So this is on a 4-year, it's a 10-year agreement, I believe, with the province for that there. That's another large contributor to our capital budget. And then on the next page, this is the remainder of our reserves. You'll see the fire services capital, so that's just if the fire departments have a capital request. We manage that by department. And then we've got our LED streetlights. Parks levy is payments in lieu of parkland if we're doing a development somewhere. And the letter of intent, that money has since all been spent on Queen Street. It was a result of the dissolution of the town of Bridgetown. And we do have a large receivable there that is to come from the province. So we have submitted everything that they require, proof of Queen Street, proof of payments, and a letter requesting the funds. So as soon as we submit all of these statements, we should get that money sent out to us as well. And then over to the next page is the county water operating fund. Not a lot of large-scale activity in these funds. You'll see the bank indebtedness here. This is a timing item. We bill quarterly for water services, so we hadn't received the cash yet from the Q4 billing. So that's not unusual to see for the water utility itself. It is important to note we are operating in a deficit. We are climbing out of the deficit slowly, but good to note with a rate study underway. And then the next page is the statement of operations. So this is kind of where everything comes from. So water rates, the cost recovery for fire protection is hydrants. So the theory is the water utility needs to be compensated for the provision of water for fire protection purposes, all calculated in our board order. And then the expenses, this is how the UARB sorts out how the water utility expenses. Is there a question?
So I have a question. What property taxes would our water service be paying?
Property taxes. There's no,
Under expenses says property taxes, 33,557.
so that would be the properties where the facilities are located for water treatment or distribution. So it is a requirement for the water utility to pay those property
They're not
taxes.
tax exempt.
No.
You can make them tax exempt by bylaw if you wish.
But they're our own facilities.
Yeah, but because the water utility operates as a separate entity,
Yeah.
the general accounts bill the water, or the water utility bills the general to pay the water bill back, or vice versa. The
General bills the water, and the
General
water
bills the
pays
water.
the property tax, yeah.
to pay the taxes for it. Now, you can exempt it and not pay it. It just means the general tax rate then has to pick up the loss of the
Right.
33,000
Okay.
for those water users.
That's good. Okay. If we flip over the page there, That gives us the capital fund. So the capital fund for water is different from regular. Any grants we receive for any water projects, we amortize and recognize a portion of the revenue to offset the depreciation that we recognize in that year, so the revenues and expenses kind of match. That's not PSAS standards, that's just a UARB requirement there. So the deferred government assistance, that's kind of what you're seeing there. There's maybe some additional grants that were used that year, and then the amortization of those grants. And then if you turn the page there, we've got the Annapolis County Water Capital Fund. This is the statement of financial position. So the big item there is the deferred revenue. That is the MCGP, the Capital Growth Program grant for Bear River. In there, we've already received the money, we just haven't expended it yet, which will be opposite in this coming year. And then the next page, these are additional statements that the water utility requires us to prepare. So it's a statement of deferred contributions, so you can see here's our balance, here's what grants came in, the MCGP, that's what we used, the PCAP grant also for Bear River, and then ISIP for Hillside Drive. And then we amortize that balance, and then the water utility requires us to take the annual depreciation and put those funds into a special account for capital replacement. So that is the second schedule, is the schedule of depreciation funds. Flipping the page, we'll head to the Bridgetown Water Utility. They are operating in a surplus position, not a substantial one, but a surplus nonetheless. That's good. There's even less activity, I think, in this water utility. But if we skip over to the next page on the statement of operations, this shows the water rates that we have here, the fire protection rate, and then the different expenditures and where they are. You'll see the property taxes there are about 13. And the long-term debt amount there, the previous year includes some interfund debt, which shouldn't be as a principal repayment. We have to pull principal repayment out, but that included some internal debt repayment and some interest as well. So the 65 is correct. And if we flip the page there, it's the statement of the capital fund statement of, there's the long-term debt. This was a Bridgetown well. So that is slated, I think, for 2029 repayment. And then you'll see the net assets have gone down slightly. And then if we flip it over, the capital fund statement of operations. This is our funding sources. This is where we recognize the amortization on the deferred government contributions, so any grants that were used to fund capital. Gains and losses on asset disposal. And then if we flip that page over, there's our last two statements, which probably mean a little bit more. Your statement of deferred contributions and your statement of depreciation funds for capital replacement for the Bridgetown Water Utility. Questions?
Yeah, well, I have a couple of questions. First of all, for those of us new on this council, this report I just saw last night at 6:30 for the first time, so I'm sure that's an anomaly. Hope so. But speaking to the page, there's no number, Bridgetown Water Operating Fund, respect to the surplus. So I see year over year, last year there was a surplus of 109,000, almost 110,000. This year that's bloomed up, blossomed to 257. Now, I guess the question is why is there a surplus? Is it a contingency plan for unforeseen issues, or? I mean, this obviously speaks to the people of Bridgetown that are paying an area rate for this water, and it seems a little excessive to me, but I guess that's a question I have regarding.
If I may, Madam Chair, first, it's a user fee, not an area rate, so let's be clear about that.
Oh, sorry, yes.
And so, right now, in our capital budget, we have a project for Granville Street in Bridgetown, $15 million, of which probably $5 million of that, a third is water. And so you're gonna need $5 million, and $257,000 doesn't pay $5 million. So the important part of this is we must generate significant surpluses every year in order to fund future growth and development.
Right.
That's what the money's for. It's not a simple surplus from overtaxation or over user fees. It has to be money that's generated, because otherwise we then have to go borrow the money, which we'll end up doing anyway, part of it, and then you pay interest, and then the rates have to go up even more to pay. It needs to be a much more significant number than 257,000 in order to do projects.
I appreciate that, and I apologize for using the wording of the area rate.
No, no,
So
just-
I understand, because I'm one of those users, and a couple of
Yeah,
properties
you're
here.
paying a
so-
user rate, not area
Right,
rate.
and that makes sense to me, and I appreciate it, because this is the question that I'm sure that Deputy Warden Inslow gets from his constituents as well, so thank you for that.
And it's the same with the sewer rate. Well, the sewer rate, you'll see what we have for
Yep.
sewer fees, or what's in the sewer reserve, the same thing. If 5 million out of 15 million in sewer, we've got to generate 5 million in sewer revenue in order to pay for that sewer system on Granville Street. And right now, there's 700,000 or something in there, so same thing.
Thank you.
Big money we need to generate, and so there's some pain that's going to have to come in the future.
Like I said, no pain, no gain.
Those surpluses do stay in the respective funds. So when the operating fund surplus goes to operating reserve, that is just the operating fund, and that stays with the county. So that doesn't touch any of these surpluses. They don't just absorb into the county.
Thank you.
And I think we've had some breaks on Granville Street in the last couple of days, or last week, so. 2 in the last 3 days. 2 in the last 3 days, so we know it's getting old.
So at 194 will be replaced at 9 AM on Thursday.
Yeah. So the putting it off is probably coming to an end soon.
Councillor Connell, Councillor Grafton, Councillor Longmire.
So I have a question on page 19 about remuneration. What's added into remuneration for each counselor? Because I thought it's a set price what each counselor gets, the deputy warden gets, and the warden gets. How are they different?
So remuneration by definition for the financial statements includes your CPP, EI, benefits, pension, all of that is included, as well as the remuneration. Expenses are separate, that would be conferences, travel, that kind of stuff. So remuneration includes salary and benefits.
So where some of us don't pay into the pension plan, that's why ours is as high as the other ones.
Yes.
I just see everyone was different. I couldn't figure out why if it's a set remuneration, so.
Yep, that's the only reason, the benefit side of it.
Okay.
Okay, next. I lost my paper. Next.
I think it was me.
Yes, you're right.
Just want to thank Angela for her report, and she went through every page, so. I've already asked most of my questions to her directly and whatnot, so just for the purpose of sharing, I complimented staff and the audit committee on what I see as a lot of positive growth in these financials. For the most part, cash flow has improved over the previous year. The operating funds were all up. There was one of the water utilities was still in deficit, but if you compare it to the previous year, it's in an improved financial position from the previous year. And I believe all the operating expenses were for the most part, revenues overall were higher than budgeted, and expenses were either in line or lower, so some good cost controls there. The fund reserves all have had improved balances. My only concern on fund reserves is, as was mentioned, is the manner in which we replenish them. So there are some big stuff coming up. So although they've improved, they're not improved by significant amounts. So for example, the capital fund, the capital reserve has 2.8 million. Long-term capital budget has significantly more, and as was mentioned, water capital and sewer capital and things like that. And then also, I just put a note, a little concerned about keeping an eye on the gas tax reserve, should there ever be changes to the manner in which that accumulates, if there's changes to federal policy. Overall, when I read the audit committee report, obviously it stands out that these are March 31st, and this is now January. However, when I read the report, the previous year report was further delayed, and It looked like staff had undertaken a lot of improvements and investments to improve the timeliness. So this is actually an improvement in timeliness. And when I read the audit strategy, the plan is to continue to make further improvements on this. So I'm hopeful that the fiscal year that ends March 31st, 2025, that we set a goal of September 30th, or as close to as possible to get back on track with that. So overall, I was happy, and I think there's a lot of compliments, and I just want to issue my compliments to staff and everybody for the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire?
Thank you. I had a wonderful chat with Angela as well, and I know going back to 21-22, we looked strangely different on paper. And so for that, I want to send off a sincere thank you. I don't even know that those two words could express to you how grateful I am, and on behalf of District 5, the hard work that has gone into it has been immense for not just you, but the team, right, the county. And so impressed. Beautifully said was, we were working with a negative cash balance when I first started. And we are now operating with around 6 million cash at year end and 4 million in investments. There is hope, right? So this is great news. Now, if we could just get Bridgetown's road, water, all of that fixed. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Welch?
I'm not sure if it's relevant to this or not, but I know a couple years ago, wasn't there a court ruling that there was retro pay for the RCMP to be paid for by the municipalities? Is that something that is accounted for, or is there any, I don't know where that ever fell out.
My understanding was there was a ruling that the RCMP were entitled to retroactive pay. My understanding is the correspondence we received from the province was picking up the tab for the retro pay.
Okay.
We would just have to pay the increases going forward.
Okay.
And we had
Thank
set money aside prior to that announcement. We had set a bit aside for the equalization payment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you all, and I thank you again, Madame Anderson, and your staff for doing such a great job of explaining to us. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so we need to vote on the motion. Here we go. On the first motion, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Second motion, Deputy Warden.
I move that municipal council authorize staff to enter into a 3-year contract with MNP Limited for the provision of audit services in accordance with the recommendation of Audit Committee.
Seconder, Councillor Welsh. Comments? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. So I just want to speak a bit from the recommendation of the Audit Committee. So basically what happened is the county did an RFP because our contract with our current auditor is expired or will be expiring. So just like any other RFP, our policy is usually with the lowest bidder, as long as it meets all the criteria. So the tenders that came back was only for 2 companies, and this organization met all the criteria and came in at a lower cost. So this is what we're going with, and it matches our policy for procurement. This organization, because I had a lot of questions, because we've been using the current auditor for a lot of our heavy-hitting audits that we've done in the past couple of years. And I know that they worked very closely with our financial team. However, this organization is a Canada-wide organization, and they do have local offices, and they're experienced in this, so there should be no issue with transfer of information, and we shouldn't really notice any type of change for our finance staff to do the next audit that we should be doing very shortly. So I just wanted to time that in, that there was a process. This was the lowest bidder that was recommended from the procurement team that came to audit, and then we reviewed it, asked a lot of questions, and then we agreed with the recommendation from procurement to move forward to here. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, Councilor Crampton, you snuck in underneath the line.
I thought somebody had their hand up ahead of me, sorry. But, yeah, I agree with what the deputy warden has said. Just to put it there, the only concern I had, and I voiced the question, was again on the previous auditor. We had worked out a strategy to improve the timeliness of the reports, so that strategy is still in effect, and we're still working. So I had thought of the option of, I am in favor of switching to MNP for the 3-year contract, but I had also put that I would have been open to consideration of just a 1-year extension for the current auditor, so that we don't lose momentum on the work they've done into improving the timeliness of financial statements. Having the discussion with staff, it was felt that they felt confident that it wouldn't hinder the improvements, and that they would still be on track to do so. So I would be in favor of this. I just wanted to put that in there.
Thank you, Councilor Crampton. Councilor Longway, did I see your hand go up?
You didn't know. I'm going to say thank you first. All I'm going to say is that keeping up with the timelines makes, is what I'm really going to focus on. So as long as we don't lose momentum. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Okay, so we had the addition of 7.9 from Deputy Warden Enclo.
Thank you.
And the information is, there's a recommendation.
Great.
Page 1 of 5, on this, everybody has that?
Yep.
Who would like to read the recommendation, Deputy?
I move that municipal council authorize the withdrawal of $38,621 from the Max Young Fund to be granted to the Bridgetown Community Recreation Association in support of the request to purchase a ice resurfacing equipment, AKA Zamboni, in fiscal year 2025-2026, should their funding applications for purchase of a new electric ice resurfacing machine be successful.
Seconder, Councillor Agenbar. I got caught up there.
Just to clarify, some products are trade names or
Yeah.
I realize that.
company, and so we have to call it electric ice resurfacer, because other companies will bid on it, and they don't have that brand name.
Exactly.
So the electric ice resurfacer is up to date.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Deputy
Thank you.
Warden.
Of course, it's been a hot topic within my district and Councilor Engberg's district. I just want to know, what is the current balance in the Max Young Fund? Did I see it?
Yeah, it's right at the
Sorry.
bottom, page 3.
So the estimated value as of January 8, 2025 is $837,524.
Okay.
That's the total value, so that would be including the shares.
Okay.
A large portion of it is investments.
837.
$837,524.
On page 3.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay. We just got this morning.
Okay, the other question I have is Bridgetown Community Rec Association, I know that they've been going back and forth and talking with everyone in the county, it seemed. Are they aware that this request for that funding that we're putting on the floor is going to come out of the Max Young Fund? Was that discussed during the conversation?
So I did discuss it with them, and the BCRA did make us aware that they had some concerns about it, and we did talk about it with management. That said, I do suggest that they would have to sit down with management and have a detailed discussion regarding where the funds would come from, especially for planning for future purposes going forward. At this point in time, I believe the recommendation came from the Max Young Fund because this is essentially a capital reserve fund, which can only be utilized by the arena. It can't be utilized by any other assets in the municipality.
No, for sure, and I agree with that. However, the question that I have is even, it's not truly a municipal funding. It's funding that is not within our tax base. It's funding that was donated just for that use, so it's not truly a funding from the municipality, really. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, we just administer and hold the funding.
Yeah, we control the funding, so
It's not really coming out of our tax, per se.
no, it's not the same as another capital
Yeah.
type purchase, yeah.
So, okay. That's all I have.
Councillor Aguilar?
I guess just for the clarification of the other councilors here, the Max Young Fund was a bequest from a gentleman by the name of Max Young, who lived in Bridgetown many, many years ago, and that Max Fund, basically the will, which I have here if anybody's interested, was to perpetuate the ongoing repairs and maintenance of the facility and ice-making equipment in Bridgetown. So that's what that fund is, just for the knowledge of you around this table as well.
Thank you.
So as...
A little bit of history.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, while it would be nice to say keep the money in the Max Young Fund and fund it out of the general tax rate, the money is set aside by the Max Young Fund to fund the Bridgetown Arena. The last thing we want to do is not spend the Max Young Fund and the arena closes and we build another arena somewhere else and we lose the money, can't use the money anymore. We lock ourselves. So the money's allocated for the arena, we should use it for the arena anytime we can.
Oh, no, for sure.
Because we've had that problem before where we've had funds allocated to a certain thing, doesn't exist anymore, and then we end up in court and spent more in legal fees than what the money was worth, so we don't want to end up there.
Thank you. GAO, Councillor Welsh, Councillor Hare, Councillor Longmire.
Do we know what the lifespan of that arena is? How much life it has left in it?
That's a little bit of a loaded question.
Is that a bad question?
We did have a building condition assessment on it in 2022, and in terms of long-term planning for the future arena, I mean, that's definitely something that has to occur. The good thing about this type of purchase is that it could be moved if the arena ends up getting built or some other kind of situation
That's what I want.
arises.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
Councillor Hare?
I'm not really appreciative that this dropped on us this morning without having much time to look over to it and think about it. I see that the letter on the back was dated January the 7th, and we're only getting it signed literally this morning. I just have some concerns with being able to actually critically think about this. I mean, just off the top of my head, looking through it, I didn't know what the Max Fund was to begin with. So it's hard for me to make a good decision when I'm not even sure what the fund was. So thank you for telling me that. But I mean, if we're looking at taking out of this fund, I kind of also want to know, again, if it's only applicable to Bridgetown Arena, is this the best use of the fund right now? Because if their arena's needs funding in other spots, I just want to know the information. Like, we're talking about $40,000 here. It's not nothing. And even the purchase itself, I'd like to, it's going to have my name on it when if I say yay or nay. And I would like to know more of what the model they're looking into, and I've only seen it today. And I mean, the reasoning, I'd just like to think more on the reasoning. They talk about the money that they're spending on their current Zamboni, which on the letter says in 2023, propane cost as well as the Zamboni repairs amounted to, it's like $6,000 or so. But then in the kind of the report here, it says they expect 2 battery changes in this lifetime, each costing, $40,000 after HST. Well, if you divide that by 20 years, which is the life expectancy of it, that's $4,000 per year already. It's just, I myself today, I kind of want a little bit more time to think about it.
Am I able to?
Okay, thank you for that. Would you please?
And
Yeah.
and just to clarify, the letter was given there, it says on January 7th, I forget what day we received it. I think this is the 4th or 5th iteration of the letter, and so it wasn't until like 8 o'clock last night or 9 o'clock last night, the final report got finished because it got changed 4 or 5 times.
Okay, but we didn't have access to any of the other,
We would have been given a report that was wrong.
Yeah, the numbers were
Exactly.
wrong because the comparison that they had, the equipment wasn't apples to apples comparison with the electric equipment. So we wanted to make sure that the propane model had an accurate comparison of features so that we could, accurately compare them.
and I'm
instead of looking
not
at that.
against it, I would have liked more time.
And we
No,
also-
absolutely.
The came to us 2 weeks ago, and they're applying for a grant, and the deadline for the grant is...
February 14th is the
February 14th, So
deadline.
there's no more time. You either
Approve it.
agree to it, or we proceed, and we just don't apply this year, we're waiting next year. We got handcuffed, like you. It's unfortunate.
Am I able to respond
Okay.
or provide information at all?
Can you wait? Okay, Councilor Longmire?
Thank you. So it is a really great report before us. They do a lot of hard work. That rink has been an amazing, supportive community venue for decades. Things wear out, right? The future's always going to be uncertain no matter what. There's one thing that holds true. You can't rent ice if it's bumpy. No one's going to play hockey. And so we're here dead in the winter, and they're making a plan. And their plan is to develop an application to submit for the Provincial Rink Revitalization Fund. And yes, they have deadlines to come up against, but they are eager to do those and follow through. We do know that the Max Young Fund is there for capital, and it is their fund. And their request is for $38,621. Yes, if they don't come through with getting a substantial amount from this Provincial Rink Revitalization Fund, it means they probably will have to come to the municipality and ask or make a request for some sort of money to help support them. And I would like to think that we will continue to support those activities that help to get our kids outside, active, off their phones, off smart devices. As smart as they are, we're smarter than them. We know they need the fresh air and the physical activity. I just think that this is a great request. I am totally in favor of it. Would have liked to have seen the information before. I don't know how much we could have before. It's a basic request. That resurfacing piece of equipment is absolutely necessary. I've been there as long as that older piece of equipment, and how many times it's been broke down and cancellation for hockey tournaments and games and things. We just can't see that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. So I don't want to cut anyone off. I just wanted to provide some more information. And to answer some of Councillor Hare's questions. So, yeah, it was short notice, for sure. And I think it was even short notice for them. They didn't realize that there was grants available that were going to be this short. So this discussion really came up since December, November, around there, where they just started looking at it. They've done a huge amount of research where they've visited the Digby arenas, other arenas. They spoke with people across Nova Scotia. And, it all comes down to, without a ice resurfacing machine,
Correct.
like Councillor Longmire said, there's no ice. There's ice, it's just, you can't do anything with it. So I just want to speak to around the repair costs. So I wouldn't say that in the letter it's a true actual cost, because they can only put in a letter what they financially track. So currently, a lot of this work that's done on this machine is done in kind of, because there is a secretary on the board, the husband's mechanic, and you know how it works in all of our communities, that pretty much donates his whole time for free, because it benefits the community, as well as the parts are becoming unavailable, or it looks like we're borrowing parts from other places. I know that they were able to get potentially some parts from the old Digby one when they got rid of theirs. At the end of the day, this is almost 30 years old. And I know you don't technically put a lot of miles on this thing. However, it is used constantly, and the gear is constantly being used. In the past couple of years, personally, I've spent a lot of time in arenas because of my kids. And almost every arena I go to now has a electric Zamboni, electric ice machine. So I've had the opportunity to speak to some of those people, and the amount of praise they have for these machines is astronomical. Like, it's night and day operation, and apparently the cost savings is just phenomenal. Now, I know that the repair costs or the replacement of the batteries in the future is a concern, for sure, but there's also grants available to support that in the future. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so, and the machine that they're looking at is actually, they've done a lot of research on that as well to make sure that they pick the right battery system. So what this one is, it's not a lead acid, so it's not going to be as affected by the weather, and it should last longer. I believe it's a lithium or something.
It's lithium ion.
Lithium ion, no different than my DeWalt drill. And so they've done all the research, and at the end of the day, like I mentioned before about the Max Young Fund, it is a fund that is for this purpose. And yes, there's money in that fund, and yes, in the future, do we have things that we might have to do to the arena? Of course. But there's also discussions on, is that at the end of its life cycle?
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely, in my mind, at the end of its life cycle. However, with having this new equipment, it can move to the new arena. And of course, we're going to have a discussion on the Max Young Fund once these things happen. But I fully support this, and the amount of work that's gone into it, from not just the organizing committee, but our own staff. And I know that around this table, it's constantly you're hearing fundraising, they should fundraise, they should do the work. Well, here it is. They're offering to do fundraising, they're doing the work. We just have to provide money that is set aside for this actual use. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your second.
I'll just be very brief. What's not in there as well is like Deputy Warden Inslow said, is not everything's in there in respect to the repairs. I know that about a year or so ago, or maybe 2 years, it actually broke down. They had to replace the engine, and they were fortunate enough to be able to borrow a secondary machine from the Berwick arena, actually, to keep the ice going. So they're doing everything they can as economically as they can in respect to this project as well. So that machine was delivered the same day as the machine was delivered to Digby 27 years ago. So it's certainly gone well beyond its usefulness, and it does need to be replaced, the current one I'm speaking to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cranston, you're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay.
Trying. I support the replacement of ice resurfacing equipment machine.
Very well said.
I think some of the repairs, and it's like anything else, as you replace aging equipment, some of your operating costs are recovered. I also support the notion of utilizing the Max Young Fund if the grant is successful. I have a similar understanding as Councilor Agenberg does on the fund, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, I know that that fund was also structured of different stocks that pay quarterly dividends. So I interpret the staff report that the dividends up to March 31st will be $32,000. So where I'm going with that is one of the reserve funds that actually does replenish funds and builds up. So this would be an outlay, but there is still some of that money coming back in. Councilor Hare, I shared his concerns on the timeliness. I realize we may be required to take a leap of faith on our vote. My concern would be the difference in the costing between the two models being looked at, propane Zamboni and the electric Zamboni, because I think Councilor Hare brought up some good points about battery replacement, things like that. It does say that the propane costs, I think, were just under $5,000, and it also says the new machine, if it was still propane, would likely be a little more efficient as well. So I support the Max Young use. I support the replacement. I'm just not 100% sold on the difference between the models. Because again, I'm not convinced that the electric model, when you factor in battery replacement, is going to be operated any more efficient than the propane oil. And the request is a higher purchase price, which the lower purchase price would have a lesser burden on the fund. But I trust staff, and I trust recommendations, and I realize we don't have time to table it to get that extra information. So yeah, that's my concern.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Climate change is expensive.
Climate change is expensive, is right. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? Okay, thank you very much, Jack. Thank you, Madame Starr. Page 63 to 71 are all council motion tracking lists for the month of October, November, and December in the package. And now we are at councilor comments.
Yes. Find mine.
Councilor comments and probably break for lunch too.
Okay. Be succinct. Let's start with Councilor Carson Salzman.
Greetings from District 1, Happy New Year. I participated in the financial management for elected officials workshop. Good learning curve. We had an East End advisory meeting. We are working on the secondary plan, getting it ready to go out to public consultation. And I had a library board meeting there last week. We were oriented. Lots to learn.
Perfect, thank you. District 2.
I hope everyone is rejuvenated from the holidays and ready to take on the new year. Not that I would call this, whether we're having rejuvenating, but instead the company we surrounded ourselves in, the time we had to ourselves, and the activities we did over the holidays. Many activities which I expect we will continue to be doing for at least a few more months until we come across some warmer weather. And with the forecast of extreme colds, I believe the Middleton Baptist Church, through the Middleton Oak Tree Program, will have stores open at night for those who may need it in this cold. I also encourage any groups in our communities who may need some funding to attend the community grant information sessions, one of which is on the 28th at the Lawrencetown Legion, 6:30 to 7:30.
Thank you very much, Councilor Hare. District 3.
Thank you. I actually typed it up this time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now can you find it?
Now I can't find it.
It's in your
How do you go to oh, there it is, okay. That, and I'm still trying to learn Apple, so.
Good luck.
Yeah, all right, so. First, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today, and I hope everyone enjoyed and had a good Happy New Year. even though we're 3 weeks into this new year, it's definitely nice to say happy and welcome to 2025, because I was done with 2024. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I know that my family and I enjoyed the somewhat slower break, which was nice. And for the first time, we actually stayed home and no one visited. It was probably one of the best Christmases I've had. So I just want to, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. I know that I mention this a lot, and I probably mention it almost every couple of months. I just want to take this time to thank our many community volunteers. So without their many selfless acts of volunteerism, many of our community events would not be as thriving as they are now. I know that within my district and Councillor Agnebar's district, the volunteerism is strong. And the fact that we just discussed something that some of the volunteers do shows how strong and active they are. I would also like to thank and point out the amount of work that our county staff does, especially our public works team. The fact that this is the season where they're outside constantly, most times in Bridgetown and Cornwallis fixing water main leaks. I know it's something I wouldn't want to do in the middle of winter. And they're on call 24 hours a day. And at the same time, the reason I want to say thank you is some people think that councillors are the ones that only get the brunt of the harassment and anger from the citizens, but a lot of times it's our county staff, especially the front desk individuals and our public works team that is out in the community. So I just want to say thank you for what they do and what they had to put up with. And at least with Public Works, they see the start and finish of most of their projects, so they get that satisfaction. I want to encourage the citizens to really look at the Bridgetown Reader. I know I talk about it almost every month, but there's way too many community events to mention, and this is a great resource to have. I also want to put the plug out there for our community events guide that our communications team organizes. So the deadline for that is the 13th of February, I believe. 12th of February, I'm corrected. And that's another thing our citizens can use to find the great things that we do. But within my district, I just want to mention a few items. So the Bridgetown and Area Community Fund AGM will be held on January 28th at 10 a.m. At the Bright Span Boardroom. That was scheduled for yesterday, but with the weather it was postponed. Also, the Bridgetown and Area Lions Club Community Breakfast continues its monthly big breakfast the first Saturday of every month. And I also want to point out the mini youth organization we have in our county, especially within the county we live in where farming is a big thing. The 4-H club in Clarence meets the second Thursday of every month. So if you have little ones, I know that my kids were part of it at one time, but now it's just way too busy. I just want to thank everyone and have a great month and stay warm during this winter snap. I know it was cold this morning when I woke up. Thank you.
Thank you. District 4.
Thank you. I want to copy all of Dustin's, but he touched on some things.
Should I type it up first?
Yeah. First off, I want to congratulate all the staff this morning who received milestones and awards of recognition. And for me, it was somewhat nostalgic, having worked in municipal government 20 years ago. I was in the town of Bridgetown when Charles Grant would have received, I guess, his 25-year of service, and then I come here and he's getting 45. But I just want to say congratulations to all of them. And I also want to extend a thank you specifically to the public works staff for the work they're doing outside, as Deputy Warden mentioned, during this cold. Also in the plowing snow, clearing sidewalks and things like that. I stopped yesterday to get gas over the gas station, and staff was there filling the gear, and I thought to myself, I wouldn't want to be out in this cold. The community events have slowed down a little bit over the winter, as some of the halls closed for the winter to winterize themselves. But I did attend a potluck at the Grand Ferry Community Hall. They are one of the ones that makes the effort to stay open during the winter, and I know they're not the only one, but I would like to take a second to recognize that the ones that do try to stay open with events, that it really takes a lot of effort and a lot of work from volunteers to keep heat on and whatnot, and so where we can support them, I encourage others to do so. I'm really glad to see the community grant information sessions coming up. I think that's a good resource, and coincidentally, they're another use of the halls by using them to deliver them out. I did have a chance to meet with fellow counselor and staff and a small group of operators regarding the market levy, so I'm glad that we had that chance, and hopefully in the future we'll get a chance as council to discuss some of the things that we heard there. And then mostly I've just been emails is mostly what I've been getting, the odd phone call, and they seem to be on a wide variety of subjects. I've only had one so far on property assessment, so I consider myself lucky, I guess. But I spoke to the gentleman for an hour, and I would just say I echo his concerns. It's just as we go into, with the property assessments out now, it's just a gentle reminder that we're going into budget discussions in the near future, and to just be mindful of that the decisions we make and what we set in budget and the one-off decisions, to be mindful of the effect that ultimately the effect it has on the property tax bill that people have. At the end of the day, we're stewards of their money, and we need to act in their best interest, but be mindful that amidst rising assessment, and when we look at the tax rate and things like that, yes, our bills are going up, but we're ultimately, as property tax bills go up, we're asking for more money from the taxpayers, who their bills have gone up too, so it does put a strain. So my request be to just be, as we go into budget season, to just be mindful of the effect that budget has on the affordability of property tax people. And then just to wrap up on a positive note, just wish everybody a happy new year, and I suspect we have an eventful 2025 in the year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Councillor, District 5.
Thank you. So greetings from District 5. Welcome winter 2025. It arrived yesterday, and I certainly felt it. Happy New Year. I'm glad that 2024 is behind us. There were lots of highlights, but I'm always excited about a new year and what can happen. If you haven't signed up for Alertable, I'm always pitching. Please do so if you do have a smart device or have the ability to do so. If not, please be reminded to look out after our neighbors in our communities. Each one of us have a role to play. We are now getting a taste of colder temperatures, and we'll likely see warming stations open up. And as that goes along, often some don't learn of the openings. So I again remind all of us that if you know some of your citizens, that we should encourage them to keep their ear to the ground, or at least reach out to them if you know that they don't have the ability to learn of those types of things. Our food banks are always in need of us supporting them, and so I say this time of year especially, every bit helps. Up and coming events in District 5, and I loved how the Deputy Warden spoke about the Reader. It is a digest of amazingness throughout our county and beyond, but I am going to place upon you today just some things that are happening in my district. New Horizon Community Hall, located 1771 Granville Road. They are closed for the winter, but are eager to get opened back up and start writing for grants and working towards some renovations and such. Lower Granville Hall, 3551, just continue down that road. Follow them on Facebook if you can. If you can't, hopefully friends will reach out, and there as well is a sign outside of their hall that gives an up-to-date list of events. Fire Pit Bonfire this coming Saturday, January 25th, 1 to 3. A donation if you would like. There will be s'mores and hot dogs. Community coffee each Friday, 10 until 11:30, and again, a donation because it costs to keep these halls open, so this is just a sweet little way that they can generate some of those funds. Hosting the Port Royal Lighthouse Association AGM is January 28th at 7 p.m. There is also a craft club, book club, walking fitness club 2 times weekly, which is exciting, and they were happy to announce that their tortilla again this year had sold out, and they had doubled their production and still sold out, and as well added a vegan option, and it sold out, and I want to tell you, it was amazing. Young's Cove Community Hall, so if you are ever nervous about venturing over the Parker Mountain Road, there are other options. We do have some secondary roads in and out, but anyway, they as well have, they're located first and foremost 5407 Shore Road West, so on the north side, on the other side, the water side, sorry, Bay of Fundy. Coffee morning every Monday at 10 a.m., $1 for a coffee, $2 for muffins, and they're homemade. It's amazing. Crafty Chicks, crafting group, and everyone is welcome, even if you only show up once. And I would encourage all of us to look at how crafty we could be. 6 p.m. and it's a $2 fee. Friday nights are jam nights at the Young's Cove Community Hall, 7 p.m. and $2 to hear some great local music and a wonderful social. Valentine's Day, box of treats, cupcakes, cookies, and candy, pre-order $12, pick up $15. You can also follow them on Facebook, and that is Young's Cove Community Hall. Parker's Cove, Fundy Thread and Thimble Club, 4462 Shore Road West. So again, in Parker's Cove, you can follow them on Facebook just by poking on, if you have the ability. If not, they don't have a sign out, but oftentimes things are put in the reader, which is a digest of information. There are no upcoming events, but eager to get involved with writing grants and looking forward to enhancing some opportunities in their hall around Remo and other things that they can help to promote for the county. Finney's Cove Legacy Pollution Cleanup, 6911 Shore Road West at the entrance, January 25th, 2025, 11 to 3, hosted by Scotian Shores Cleanup, sponsored by Annapolis County and Divert Nova Scotia, Nothing Wasted. I am always so very grateful and thankful for our volunteers and all the work that they do. They work tirelessly to make our communities great. How exciting is it to see this long list of things happening? It keeps the busyness alive. It keeps the winter months less dull. And I'm just so thankful. And I'm going to end by this: where community halls are the center of community spirit. Never forget that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, District 6.
District 6. Oh, greetings from District 6. Excuse me. I know it's already close to the end of January, but I hope everyone did have a wonderful holiday season and enjoyed some well-deserved time with family and friends. The break was a great opportunity for me to recharge, and I'm looking forward to diving back into the important work that lies ahead for our communities. I'm pleased to report that the culvert work at Ditmars Brook in Cornwallis Park continues to be on schedule. Over the past month, I've had the pleasure of connecting with residents at community breakfasts, and I look forward to attending the Community Grant Information Center in Upper Clements Hall this Thursday evening. I've also spoken to individuals and groups about the upcoming county auction of the Basin Center, the old Canucks building. Everyone recognizes it as a valuable asset for the community and surrounding area, and I share the hope that the sale results in a positive outcome for all. It's also great to see the Upper Clements Trail system being used so much. There's been hikers, skiers, and even a few hardcore bikers are making the most of this incredible resource, and it's a reminder of how fortunate we are to have such amenities in our region, backed by groups of volunteers working to improve our communities. Here's to a productive and positive year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. District 7,
That would be me.
over here. Thank you.
So, greetings from District 7. Well, after the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, the New Year realities are upon us, including working and getting those New Year's resolutions started. Good luck with that. So this is information for everybody's information, is unfortunately the Paradise Post Office, which is currently a private enterprise, is closing on January the 31st, 2025. It will be replaced by request of the local citizens with CMBs, which are community mailboxes. Canada Post's timeline for implementation is 5 to 8 weeks, starting now. During this transition, local recipients will receive their mail at the Bridgetown Post Office, where Canada Post will forward their personal CMB box numbers and their box key pickup instructions. Canada Post will make every effort to complete this process as quickly as possible. Although it's not in my district, I had the opportunity to visit the Middleton Railway Museum. It is an amazing facility, and the experience I would urge everyone to see. Take a trip back in time to the glory days of the age of rail, where you will witness the historical development of industry, travel, and transportation in another era throughout the Annapolis Valley. It's an amazing, what I call a gem, I guess, that we have here in the Annapolis Valley, and I would urge everybody to, if they could, to go there. So the Bridgetown Legion has revitalized itself as a vibrant community center. There are numerous weekly activities, including seniors fitness sessions every Tuesday from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m., and fun cribbage night every Wednesday evening from 7 to 9 p.m., just to name a few. It's a great venue available for meetings and functions, big and small. And oh yes, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fabulous Lions Club breakfast, which happens on the first Saturday every month, also at the Bridgetown Legion. Also, just to finish off, the West Tallahassee Community Hall will be hosting an open mic event February the 8th. That's a Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. So everyone's welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So ready to go. Thank you, Councillor. District 7, no, 8.
Thank you. So as we settle into the new year, I hope everyone enjoyed a joyful holiday season surrounded by family and friends. I know I certainly did. It's a wonderful time to reflect and recharge for the year ahead. With the recent property assessments sent out by PVSC, I've been fielding many questions from residents about how values are determined. And I've been happy to assist in explaining the mass appraisal process, which we had a little bit of an education on when they came and presented to us. And I'm happy to help with any concerns or confusion arising from my residents for that. So please, I'd just like to let them know, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll do my best to provide any clarity and guidance. I'm also really excited to announce a new initiative that I'm going to be starting in my district, and I'm going to call it Coffee with Your Counselor. It's going to aim to provide an informal and welcoming opportunity for residents to meet with me, ask questions, and discuss community issues. I've already got my first session planned. It'll be held at the Maitland Bridge Community Hall, March 22nd, and I'll be there from 11 till 1 or later. Just coffee, tea, and snacks will be provided. So I look forward to continuing this series at other community halls in District 8. I'm looking to go to Bear River, Clementsville, Milford, so I'll be reaching out to those community halls to book some sessions with them as well. I encourage everyone to come out and share their thoughts and concerns, and I'm really looking forward to having some conversations with the residents. In addition to that, I've been working with municipal staff to address a safety concern at the intersection of Fed Road and Greenland Road, which, for those of you who don't know, it's out Bear River, Greenland. It's on the way into Bear River, a little bit off the beaten path. I had some residents there reach out to me on the campaign trail and say that it's a safety hazard, especially in the winter. And I've got to say, working with the staff here at the county has been has been great, and plans are now underway to install a streetlight at that intersection, which should greatly improve visibility and enhance safety for everyone traveling through the area, especially in the wintertime. So I'd just like to say to everyone that I hope you have a great 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. District 9.
That would be me. Things have been very quiet since our last meeting with the holidays and whatnot. It was nice to have time with family to recharge, and I hope that everyone else had the same opportunity. I've attended a couple of events in the Nicktaw community. We've had many education sessions and opportunities for the counselors, which is critical for us newbies. So I'm grateful for that. The staff has been fabulous here. They never tire of answering questions. We braved the roads yesterday and attended the code of conduct in-person training yesterday. There were a lot of questions that came up, and over time I think those will get addressed. And looking forward to the community grant sessions. The one has changed for Upper Clements to Thursday due to the weather, and next Tuesday in Lawrencetown. In my area, it's been pretty quiet since the assessments came out, so I take that as a good sign that people are okay with it and not becoming too alarmed. And as Niall mentioned, he's going to have some sessions to get together with the community, and I spoke to our warden about that because I would like to do something similar in my district because it's really hard to connect with people. So I'll approach staff, see if I can steal a room at the satellite office and the fire department in Nicktaw, maybe on the evenings that they have their training sessions. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor. District 10.
Greetings from District 10. Christmas was busy at our house. It's 3 full days. Do with the kids. Kids come, kids can't come. Anyway, it was 3 days. I was glad it was over. It was a long 3 days, but it was good. Good. The little kids make it all. Looking forward to the new year. I know that several people have talked about the Bridgetown Reader. One of the commitments I made when I was canvassing that my goal is to make sure that one of the things is that Springfield feels a part of our county. And for 20 years, I've heard several times, and I heard it again last Friday, they feel they're not part of our county because they don't get a lot of communication with Annapolis County other than their tax bill. And they seem to get that on a regular basis, they were told. So I take the Bridgetown Reader to the little store in Springfield every Friday or Saturday morning. I've been taking a dozen and they tell me they're gone right away. So I'm gonna call the gentleman and up my volume there a little bit. It's good that they get the news, what's happening throughout our county. And hopefully I've been trying to encourage when I go to the store, there's always somebody there. It's kind of a meeting place in that little community. To get involved and advertise in it. Let us know what's happening in Springfield. So I'm put the spin back onto them that it's there for Annapolis County to use, so please use. Again, I'm sure it's been heard from the previous councillor and also myself, their biggest thing is they lack a community center. They have nowheres for the younger generation to go in and do things, so their drive is just to try to accomplish funding and help to create a community center that is around their fire hall so it can be chaperoned when nobody's there and people keep an eye on it. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. Went skating at the Lawrencetown Arena, free skating on Sunday, haven't skated for 20 years. Went and bought a new pair of skates, nobody was there to sharpen them, didn't last long. Felt like it was gonna break my neck, but my little grandson was marvelous. he was worth the while just going out and watching for an hour and a half, took 1 2-minute break, and for an hour and a half he never left. And he was up, down, all around. I went home, I said to Angie, guess how many people were there? She said 5. So I saw my brother-in-law yesterday and I was telling him, and I said, how many people do you think was there? He said, oh, 5 or 6. I counted 80 at one point that was on the ice. That wasn't the few that was at the warming room, the stands. You couldn't get in the dressing room. They had 2 dressing rooms open. You couldn't get in to get your boots off and your skates on. It was phenomenal. So that little arena does well. Glad to see the grant information session to be at the Lawrencetown Legion. There's lots of activities. Same as Lawrencetown. Lawrencetown really hasn't got a community hall, but the Lawrencetown Legion services a lot of things. They service the seniors group, which have exercise classes and numerous things there throughout the month, and that's always in the Bridgetown Arena. The Lions Club works out of the Legion too, 2 events and between there and doing suppers at COGS. So the Legion is very important to the village. The trail use, because I live a stone throw away from it, when we had enough snow for some people, the snowmobiles zoomed all hours of the night, which was nice to hear them going. And when the snow isn't so good, the 4-wheelers and side-by-sides are abundant on the used, multi-use trail. So it's great to see. I met with Department of Transportation on some issues that my constituents have on some plowing issues, which happens, and I'm sure that if anyone plows their own driveway, same issues happening there. I tore up my lawn a bit too, but when a grader puts down a wing and it's hydraulic, it doesn't move. When it goes down, the level is set. So if it dips, up comes the sod. So when you see all these things happening, it's not always because it's a poor operator, it's the equipment, how it's used, and the road surfaces. And some of it is equipment error, or human error. But anyway, other than that, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Okay, so I have 30 seconds?
Yep.
Okay. First, I'd like to start that I went, December 31st, I went to enjoy the fireworks in Bridgetown, which closed 2024 and brought in the new year. And it was phenomenal. It was, there was fireworks for 10+ minutes. Even saw the warden there. It was dark, but there was a lot of people that enjoyed it, of all age. Now, the second thing, oh yes. Now, on January 1st, I went to the Polar Bear Dip in Cornwallis to cheer on the brave participants.
I want to see the video.
So do I.
I'm bringing no video. They passed out prizes, and there are 3 different prizes, but the very first prize they awarded to was for the Trumps. Ivania Trump, and you know who the other Trump is. And they won first prize. They were all dressed up in the water. They went, suit and all, and out they came. It was phenomenal. I didn't have to think about going in. But it's kind of ironic that when Councillor Welsh this morning spoke in his council comments, he said, "I'm looking forward to dive in this year." He dove in. The polar bear did with his son, which I told him they were all brave and to be doing anything like that. So I commend you again, Councillor Welch, for being so brave with your son.
13 seconds.
See, that's how bad it was. That was bad. But anyway, in any case, it certainly was nice to see all those brave souls. And there was a little one. I don't know how old he was, but if he was 5, okay. I went to him and I said, "You are some brave little man, because you went in that water." Yes. Are you going to do it again? Looked at his mother, I said, "You're brave, and he's even braver, because I don't think I'd ever go back in if I was his age." Anyway, it was a great deal of fun to see all those people, and there was a lot of people.
There was a lot.
Yeah, a lot. The last thing I'm going to bring up is that I went to a meet and greet your neighbors on Saturday at the Three Rivers Community Center. It was phenomenal. There was a lot of people there just chatting and going on and looking at the hall and the new stuff they're doing. And you could see all the different activities that they have on their board and everything. So I urge you to check out their Facebook page to see what's going on there, and you might want to be part of it. So I'll leave it at that. And thank you very much, and have a great 2025, and away we go. Now, we will pause at this time so we can go out and have some lunch. And we'll take it up again at 1:30, or quarter to.
Yeah, so recess now.
We'll recess now. Okay.